For the past few weeks, after I completed my run at the NAWCQ, I've been obsessed with one deck. I've been trying to break Artmage. The new lore archetype is one that I think has a great amount of potential, but it already kind of has it. I think the boards this deck ends up building are insane, and I think that it's up to me to show you all what it can really do. And with the release of the K9 cards, this deck just got a whole lot better. Hello, my name is Doc Conrad, Yugioh, and if you like this kind of content, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, do all of that, hit the notification bell, and let's get into this, because I think this deck is very, very good. I've been going to locals with Artmage for quite a while now, ever since the NAWCQ, and I have had a blast with this deck. The end board this deck ends up putting up is one that is very difficult to deal with. I believe the non-engine is very, very welcome. The flexibility of the X deck allows for things like cards like Super Poly to be included with it, and I believe that the types of non-engine that you can play that are breakers are also very good in the format as well. Book of Eclipse, Forbidden Droplet, as well as, not in this list, but in others I have, Dark Ruler No More, are incredibly strong. But what is going on when it comes to this deck pure? Well, let me go ahead and show you. This deck doesn't really rely on 1-card combos, mostly on 1.5 card combos. However, all of these are your main starters. Vandalism Assault to add Medius the Pure himself, Artmage Varnish Alteration, Artmage Academic Arcane Arts Acropolis, the field spell, or Fusion Deployment if you want to use that to special summon out Medius the Pure, and all of these require a spell card to discard. The simplest 1-card combo is equivalent to simply the field spell and a spell card to pitch. We're going to start with Artmage Academic Arcane Arts Acropolis and discard the copy of Artmage Vandalism Assault. We're going to search for ourselves for a copy of, after activating the effect, declaring Artmage Flare. After this, you're locked into Artmage cards, so it's going to be something that you want to do. If you do this is going to be the second half of the K9 combo, because at this point, you'll be locked from the main deck, any cards other than Artmage cards and Medius the Pure. We will activate the effect of Flare in order to special summon itself and set out a spell card from our deck. We're going to set a copy of Artmage Varnish Alteration, and from here, we'll be able to activate the effect of Artmage Varnish Alteration and add any Artmage card we would so choose. Artmage Flare can also be utilized as a Spell Trap Destruction non-quick effect when there's only 1 card. So if you want to go ahead and break some form of board, you can go Flare effect right now to go ahead and pop a Spell Trap at this point. But for activating Alteration here, there's a number of things we can add. We can add the Pact Awakening in order to get that card. If we get this card, we're able to discard for Littera, and then Littera add this back and get the card. Or we're able to do this via another spell effect by adding instead Artmage Vandalism Assault. We'll activate Assault and grab a copy of Medius the Pure from here. If you happen to already go through the Medius line, you don't need to go ahead and do this already. You get your extra normal of Artmage Academic Arcane Arts Acropolis and activate the effect of Medius the Pure in order to special summon out a copy of Artmage Power Patron. Now that you have Power Patron, you are locked into fusions here. If you activate the effect of Power Patron and your opponent imperms or veilers it, don't worry. You still have the ability to go into a copy of either IP or SP Little Knight in order to get that effect off anyway. But let's say they didn't negate it. We're going to go ahead and go Power Patron, send these both to the graveyard, and special summon out a copy of Artmage Deactorus. This card is a negate of any monster on field if you have 3 or more different monster types, and if destroyed, special summons Medius the Pure from hand, deck, or banishment. Now we're going to activate the effect of Artmage Power Patron in the graveyard because it was sent to the graveyard in order to add a spell trap. Now we can add ourselves a copy of Artmage Pact Awakening in order to get 2 cards on field in order to do so. We activate Arcane Arts Acropolis, discarding Pact Awakening. In order to search a copy of Littera, you have to declare these monsters beforehand, so that your opponent knows exactly what you're doing beforehand. We're going to activate the effect of Littera, special summoning itself, and adding back a copy of Artmage Pact Awakening, back from the graveyard, non-target add, by the way, and then activating the effect once more in order to send to the graveyard and adding a copy of Finmail. From here, you're able to activate the effect of Finmail, special summon, off your opponent's cut, and then draw 1 card. Now, here, what do we have? We have a Spell Trap pop, we have an Artmage in order to special summon back any Artmage from the graveyard, or hand in order to tag itself back out, but you need to have a zone free in order to do so. You have Artmage Finmail in order to negate all monsters your opponent controls permanently, but you have them for the turn. Till the end of this turn, their attacks become halved is very important. It's a permanent negate for this. And this is the negate and destroy of any card effect on the field. So, you may be noticing a few things after this whole combo goes through. You are susceptible to 3 different cards. Purulia, Droll, and Nibiru. Nibiru especially, because this endboard does not have any form of protection against Nibiru with any way to prevent it at all. That, my friends, is where K9 comes in. Oh, I almost forgot to also mention, you also have the fact of Artmage Pact Awakening in the graveyard. Targeting an Artmage you control, return to the hand extra, and destroy a card your opponent controls. And you also have a battle protection for one of your Artmage cards by banishing it in order to negate the attack, and then special summon back Madius. If you have further plays, you can also bring out Madius the Pure, shuffling back say a Fuelos from your hand and special summoning it back, and then linking off 2 of these monsters. Let's just pretend that this is a monster we have. Shuffle that back, special this back, and then link these 2 off by banishing it and a copy of, let's go Flare, in order to go into a copy of IP. Or if you want, you can go ahead and go into SP. Doesn't really matter too much, it's just an added bonus that you want to go ahead and do from there. So, that's what Pure does. Let's go ahead and take a look at what K9 Artmage does. Alright, here is my 60 card Artmage K9 list. And let me tell you, there's a reason why it's 60. The main reason why is because I believe that other packages that try to play a 40 card list that are more K9 than Artmage make all of the Artmage cards bricks. That's not what you want. What you want is this deck to synergize with its 2-card, multi-card combos, allowing for the K9 stuff to get into the Artmage stuff, and allowing the Artmage stuff to do its thing on its own while cycling the resource loop on the opponent's turn and on your turn. It really, really wants to be a higher package. My matchups for my 4-0 at locals will include Morganite Stun, another copy of another Artmage K9 that I've been working on with my friend that has been a lot of fun, Yummy, and K9 Vanquish Soul. And then in the box tournament, it was Yummy, Morganite Sun, Mitsurugi Raizel, and a Chaos Synchro matchup. So, what does this deck really get to do? It gets to play so many breakers, allowing for factors of if you want to play Dark Ruler no more as a spell trap. You can even main this if you really want to and have it be a discard off of the field spell. You have access to Thrust for starters with Chaotic Elements, further extenders with Alteration. You have I have a copy of Terraforming in here if you just need to get to the field spell as well, and of course talents at this point. Imperm is a really good card in the format as well because it allows for you to stop the yummy cards in the draw or standby phase as a breaker. It really, there's so much you're able to go ahead and combine with this that breakers seem to be the go-to for the format. I do have one copy of Ogre in here. I wanted to go ahead and make that another Purulia, and then side out one of these breakers for a third Purulia, but the Artmages and the K9s, they kind of need to be in these ratios. Now, for game 1s, you're wanting to go ahead and have this list fully as your main deck, pretty much. However, for game 2 and game 3, you're able to go ahead and, because you don't want the grind game to go too long, cut out copies of Latera and Power Patron in order to get some further extension out for some of your non-engine as well, in terms of taking into your engine, because there's only about 22 non-engine, I believe. Let's see here. 3 Imperm, 3 Thrust, 1 Talent, 3 Droplet, that's 10, 3 Book, 3 Fua, 3 Ash, that's 9, 1 Ogre, yeah, 21 about, and then Call by 22. Yeah, so you have 22 non-engine, and if you want to bump that up at all, if all those cards seem to be going well, you could take out a copy of Power Patron as well as a copy of Latera, because while those cards are fine, they're relatively bricky, and you're cool with going ahead and seeing them buried in 60 and brought out from the deck. Flare is a non-negotiable. You need to have this card at the minimum 2 because it's a 5 that can extend further if you really want to see that play. But it's not the best thing to extend with, and you want a second copy as well. As well as a second copy of Lantern. You really want to see the second copy of Lantern inside of your deck list if you can, because of the fact that it turns Yugioh plus Chaotic Elements into a 2-carder as well, or Lantern and Chaotic Elements into a 2-card combo as well. A lot of these decks have a problem of, wanting to play high non-engine counts, wanting to be as consistent as possible, and you have to go ahead and play it within some sort of list that is more akin to Yummy. Yummy has like 21 card starters and 20 non-engine and is very consistent. However, with the power this end board brings you and the ability to play through your opponent's fields and them not knowing how the hell to play against it, that's your best thing you can do. Once you start doing Artmage things, their eyes glaze over. They don't know what's going on. They have a harder time interacting with you because this old thing startups. But if you want the real secret for people around this point, it's Droll and Purulia. If you get Drolled in this matchup, it's a big problem. But you have a punishment with the K9 stuff as well. If that happens to you and you just play a mini K9 engine, that's why you play this. And Purulia, you just kind of have to either go full-on go mode or decide at what point you want to stop giving them draws. But to be honest with you, if they don't play Droplet, you can just set up the whole end board and not worry about it too much. And if you do that, you're still able to go ahead and get a full hand knowledge with Werewolf, and with them not knowing how to interact with it, plus the Awakening in the back row, they might still have a big problem with dealing with all of their resources. It could be a way to really go through it, even if you do get interrupted to the fullest. It's kind of like Malice in that way, where even if you get Fuwood or Purulia'd or something happens, people have just been deciding to say, sure, go ahead, you can't kill me. That's what this deck really does. This deck's end board is insane when rolling and going first, and going second, it's confusing and odd enough with the hands that it makes it so that going second is still pretty good. And that's the main reason why I opted also to play the number C107 and the number 107 Tachyon Dragon in order to get the breaker aspect off of CXZ's Nash Knight with Neo Galaxy Tachyon Dragon. Basically say, hey, negate everything. I don't care. So, I also can't afford the C104, but I think that there's a different use case for it. If you were to do that, and you do have the C104, instead of going for this package, I would recommend getting moving off of the DDD Divisor King Deus Machina X. That could be a good thing to go ahead and get off as well, because it's not as often you go into this package. And I've also opted not to go into the Paradise Smasher, because typically you're not going to have enough 5s to go into the Paradise Smasher with a copy of Graflair, Izuna, and Lupus. But still, there'll be end boards where that matters. There definitely will be. With all that being said, let's get into the example hand. Artmage K9 is also not really a one-card combo starter. It's more of a added bonus of non-engine that you're allowed to have. And yes, this deck is 60. It makes sense, trust me. So, with any 2 K9 cards, including Yugioh, a case for K9, the spell that searches it, including Chaotic Elements, and Lantern, or even in fact another 5 of Izuna, Artmage Flare, or Lupus, you're able to get this end board. We'll start with a case of K9 and activating the effect, adding a copy of. We're going to grab. We can grab a Izuna here if we want to go ahead and really play around hand traps, but to be honest with you, we're going to be special summoning them both anyway. We'll go ahead and grab ourselves a copy of Lantern. We'll activate the effect of Yugioh in order to special summon out back both. And from here, we're going to pretend that the Lantern is not in rotation, it's just another body, but you can use this to add the quick play or another copy of a case for K9 in case you want to discard that later. We're going to activate Yugioh to add a non-Aqua K9 in order to grab ourselves that copy of Izuna that you wanted. Or from previously, if you were to already have Lantern, want to search Lantern now, you could add Izuna off the case, send the Lupus as well off summon, and then add the... Taking these 2 monsters, we're going to overlay them both into a copy of Let's see here. Where are you? Ripper. We're going to move Ripper up into the EMZ and activate the effect of Ripper in order to detach a copy of Yugioh. You want to go ahead and detach Yugioh because you're going to want to add a copy of Lantern from this point of view. And this is the reason why you want to play 2 Lantern instead of just 1. In order to do this, this adds a lot more lines for the 2 card combos to become a lot more flexible. If you happen to have only a way to search Lantern and Yugioh, you're going to be having a less impactful end board if you don't do that. We're going to activate the effect of Lantern, targeting our Yugioh and special summoning out both. The reason why we didn't activate the Yugioh just yet, previously, is because of Lantern's ability to go for a further effect there. I'm going to activate the effect of Lantern in order to add a copy of, if DB will stop lagging, either a K9 X-Force release or another copy of Case for K9. Now for this example, we're going to add a Case for K9 because of the fact that we need a spell to discard. So this deck can also be a singular 2-card combo by having a spell to discard off the field spell. So for to do that, we would have a Case for K9. If you already have a spell access in hand that you do not need, you don't need to worry about this. We're going to take these 2 monsters and overlay them both into a copy of Infinitrack Riverstormer. I'm going to activate Riverstormer, detaching our copy of Lantern and adding a copy of my favorite little guy, Planet Pathfinder. That's right, this deck is searching Planet Pathfinder. Now, the reason why you're doing this is because you want to do normal summon and activate its effect, of course. This stops both Ash, Nib at this point. With Ripper, it adds a lot of flexibility here, and adding a copy of the field spell. Artmage Academic Arcane Arts Acropolis. Now from here, if your opponent has hand-trapped you at all, there's a recommendation to either go for Izuna at this point and then clear some space later, or you can go ahead and just go for the field spell now. So you're going to activate the field spell and declare the effect, discarding the spell card we had access to previously, in order to add a copy of Graflair. I'm going to add Graflair to the hand. I'm going to special Graflair. And if you already had an access to Medius at this point as well, this combo goes even better. We're going to go Graflair and going to set a copy of the spell. We're going to activate the spell. Add Assault. We're going to activate Assault. We're going to add Medius the Pure. And you might have thought we already normal summoned. However, the field spell gets us a double normal summon of Medius the Pure. Activating Medius the Pure. Special summoning out that copy of the Power Patron. From here, we're able to activate Power Patron in order to fusion summon. Bring about Deactors. And activating Power Patron once more. From here, getting the trap card. And from here, we're going to activate the effect, discarding the trap card, in order to add a copy of Litera. We're going to activate Litera in order to special summon. Add back this copy of Artmage Pact Awakening. And before we go any further, we're going to activate the effect of Medius the Pure and shuffle back a monster that you do not need in the hand. This could be any hand trap. This could even be the Izuna that you've already added if you're really hungering for that. But the main point of this is that you're going to get a monster with a different type off the field in order to make more space. So for the sake of the argument right now, we're going to shuffle back the Izuna. But normally you would go ahead and shuffle back a hand trap or an extra monster you don't need or whatever you desire. Or you can even discard this and grab a copy of Power Patron and then shuffle back the Power Patron if you have that. Lots of things you could do here. So now we're able to, with this Graflair of a Fiend, of a Dragon, Medius the Pure of a Fairy, and this Machine of Infinitrack Riverstormer, contact fuse all of these off into the copy of Nerva, the Power Patron of Creation. Now you're able to go ahead and go into Awakening, adding Litera. Sorry, not Litera, Finmel, pardon me. And then activating Finmel in order to special summon and draw one extra card. Now this may seem like a full hand card combo, but let me explain what we have now. We've added Ripper for We've added Ripper for a negate for Nibiru. We've added the full Artmage end board. We've added Nerva, which is a card that was not in the previous end board, which states once per turn, when you activate an Artmage monster's effect, you can make that activate effect become destroy all cards your opponent controls, and you're able to have enough room for Latera to special back and get something else. If you were to Latera special back something else and get that effect as well, you're able to go even further. And with Awakening, with the bounce back of any Artmage card as well, you're able to then go into the Izuna if you were to have that in hand and send the other monster in order to rank up into another monster, giving you 2 free bodies as well. Whew. Okay, so now that we've done that, let me show you how we freestyle this with a test hand. Okay, so this one's actually an interesting one. We have a copy of Yugioh Channel without any way to get the normal summon off and not a second copy in there, but we do have a copy of Alteration and Madius the Pure, allowing for this combo to shine in a different way. We're going to activate Madius the Pure and activate its effect in order to special summon out the Power Patron. We're going to activate the Power Patron in order to fusion summon their copy of Deactress. We're going to activate the Power Patron, and because we already have the spell of Alteration, we're going to add ourselves the copy of the Field Spell. We'll activate the Field Spell, and because we have Alteration on the field, we'll go to Alteration's secondary effect to add any Artmage card from deck to hand. If you need be, Alteration can place the Field Spell, but it's not always advised. Now, by foregoing the trap, we can add a copy of Graflair before we even lock ourselves. So we're going to do that now in order to best play around Nibiru. We're going to activate the effect of Yugioh Channel, special summoning both it and Graflair and onto the field. We'll activate the effect of Yugioh Channel in order to add a non-Aqua K9 monster, and that's going to be our copy of Izuna. And we're going to overlay these two into our copy of Ripper. We're going to activate the effect of Ripper in order to detach our copy of Yugioh Channel, in order to add ourselves that copy of Lantern. And we'll activate Lantern, special summoning it, targeting Yugioh Channel. We'll activate Lantern in order to add ourselves a copy of a spell card. We can get a case for K9 if we want. I think a case is fine. Yeah. We can either activate case for K9 here, or we can discard it if you want to go for the thrust plays. But from here, we're going to overlay these two into a copy of either a Nash Knight or the River Stormer. We could do the River Stormer if we want to add, if we didn't have access to Field Spell, but because we don't have that, we can go further beyond and go into any of the rank 5s that you have access to. You can't do Vimana because these are both special by a light, but you can go Nash Knight here in order to move this card over onto the side, give ourselves space, activating the effect, discarding this, and adding Graflair. Now, Graflair has not activated its effect in order to set a spell, but we've already done a number of factors with it, so we could also go for Latera to get some further spells. I think we're going to go for Latera to start. We'll go for Latera's effect in order to special summon, and adding a copy of the spell card. Going to activate the effect, discarding, calling. Instead of Graflair, let's go with Finmel. We don't need Graflair exactly, and we want to make sure that we have access to it in general. So we can go ahead and go for that. And while we won't have the access to the trap in this hand, we will have a number of cards in the space. So we'll be fine there. This is the difficulty of starting with Alteration already in hand and not searching the trap. Or not having Power Patron searching the trap. It's a bit more difficult to really get the ball rolling on getting that extra layer of interaction. But you still have a lot you can go ahead and do. You get this and a draw. You have Izuna effect for that, and you have Latera effect special back 1 in order to bring itself out, and Power Patron effect to quick fuse. And if you really, really need room, you can always Nash Knight shuck back something up. Can also from here, no, I think this hand is fine. Yeah, you still have Izuna, you still have Finmel, you have Latera bounce back, you have Deactress negate and destroy, Nash Knight steal, and Ripper as well. There's a lot this deck could really do, just to show you. This hand was not played optimally, even in the slightest, but I think that this deck is so crazy. I've had a lot of success with this deck at locals. I think that you're going to have a lot of success with this deck if you give it a shot. And plus, the Artmage cards are pretty cheap right now. They're about half the cost of what a K9 core is currently. So if you already have K9 and you're looking for a little something extra to bump it up without spending the exorbitant amount of price on the Vanquish Soul cards, give this deck a try. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more things like this, please be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, do all of that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. See ya!